Yes. Thank you so much. Today, welcome to our podcast vlog. And we're blessed to have Jessica Francisca Colasso in the house. When you talk about Jessica, it's a big name and not that old. And this is what fascinates me about Jessica. She's done it all. She's created opportunities, not for herself, but for the ecosystem. When you talk about tech, it's really difficult to mention it without her name. And she's gone out of her way to build ecosystem that actually not only benefits her, but benefits the entrepreneur family in East Africa. And also she has gone ahead and shared these across the world. I don't want to mention each and everything that she has done across the world, but one thing is common here, that she is committed to ensure that we all have that opportunity. Welcome so much in this Impact Media podcast, Jessica. How are you?
I'm fine.
You're fine.
Yeah.
It's an honor to have you in the show. And Jessica, anyone who hears your name, beside what exists in online, might want to know where you started from, who you are, and your journey until maybe where you are right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Today is my birthday, actually.
Happy
August.
birthday. Happy birthday.
Thanks.
How did I not say that? Happy birthday, Jessica.
old I
This
am?
is so special.
Sweet 16.
Sweet 16. Yeah, because that's another thing I wanted to ask you. But I know with the ladies, sometimes it's tough to like, how old are you? But if you don't mind, you can tell them.
I mean, you can
old you
deduce
are.
my age. I've been in the ecosystem for 15 years. So,
Minus 15 years.
yeah.
Whatever the age, minus 15 years.
Exactly.
So how old are you? And then
16.
Yeah. And you have won a couple of awards, 40 under 40.
Yes, 3 times.
3 times, back to back.
After every year, since I started different initiatives at Strathmore and then at the iHub and then iHub Research. But I think for me right now, top 40 under 40, something I've done and achieved. So looking to aim higher.
Yeah,
different
for sure.
awards.
Yeah. So who is Jessica?
Jessica is a computer scientist, TED fellow, born in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm very much. My roots are Kenyan, so I'm Kenyan born with origins that are half Indian, half Portuguese, and we call that Goan. So just to dive a little deeper into that,
For sure.
I'm 4th generation Kenyan on my mom's side, 1st on my dad.
Wow.
Yep.
Amazing stuff.
Yep.
So where did you go to school, Jessica?
I went to school at Loreto Valley Road, actually.
The kindergarten or
Not
nursery
kindergarten.
school?
Kindergarten, I went to Consolata. And then I did primary up to standard 2. And then I went to Loreto Musungari for a year. And then eventually transferred to Loreto Valley Road.
Yeah.
Because my sis and I were always together. And
Oh, you have a sister. I never knew about
I have
that.
an older sister called Natasha Colasso.
Nice.
So she got transferred to Loreto Valley Road, and we were always together when we were younger in the same schools. And in standard 4, actually up to high school, I was at Loreto Valley Road. And I cannot exclaim how much I enjoyed high school.
Wait a minute.
Loreto
You can't
Valley
just
Road.
you can't just say you enjoy. I want to know, what was that experience like? How was it going to school every day? How was the interaction? Which kind of games did you like? Because I've come to appreciate that our childhood shapes the way we think.
Correct.
The rest of our life.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So when growing up, I was a pretty shy child.
Yeah.
And pretty much introvert.
Yeah.
So I would kind of keep to myself even during the holidays. I would actually work on my own projects.
Yeah.
My mom bought me a lot of Tell Me Why books. So I'd read that and do a lot of like metalwork, woodwork projects. At that point in time, the first time I came across a computer was a friend was leaving the country and she was selling the Commodore. I think it was the Commodore 64 computer, and it had multiple games. And this is still while I was in primary. So
which year was this?
Oh my gosh, this is like while I was in primary, probably 1994.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the first time I kind of came across a computer.
And Commodore was really powerful, which is like by going
it's kind of
with
the
what we
Xbox
have.
that time.
It's quite powerful.
Yeah, it was very powerful. So I used to actually like play games, and up to like uni. Then my mom actually got me another computer, a Pentium 3. From an expat that was leaving. And I got more interested in learning MS-DOS and, the typical Prince of Persia, all this stuff that... So I got a little more interested in like how computers work and how they're built. That's where the interest,
the curiosity
really
started.
And then also my dad like brought home the Cube. At that time, I can't remember the actual name, but it was like the Apple Macintosh at that time. He brought home like a portable computer. And that's where I got exposed like to the world of Apple. Amazing graphics and things like that. So I had a feel of both like the Apple world and the PC world. And then finally in university got exposed to the Linux world, running Norpix on CDs, and then kind of what I would say, when you actually, I'm forgetting the name, but when you actually petition your hard disk on your laptop, I think I installed so many versions of Linux on my
virtual
laptop.
machines.
VMs. And like when I went to University of Nairobi, I got admitted to University of Nairobi for computer science. I had a Toshiba, and that machine had so many versions of Linux, Memphis, and all the rest. I think Memphis was my favorite. I think I liked the visuals at that point in time. I would just download distros, burn them on a CD, and then install them. So really, my interest in computers like really started from primary, when I got exposed like to the Commodore and the different devices that my mom and dad brought home, and eventually got intrigued by the software. First I was into the hardware. I was very much a hardware person because I'm a hands-on DIY person. Like I used to fix different sockets and different electrical boards and things like that. So I got intrigued by the software around like high school. But also in high school, I also did like a couple of computer courses, like, advanced Excel, advanced PowerPoint. And then I was the top in LCVR for computer studies. It wasn't part of the main course, but it was an extracurricular. So when I was in Form 3, I was actually doing that part-time and also...
That was provided in school?
They actually had a computer science teacher who was actually teaching like coding and things like that. So my dad would wait for me to finish class until like 7 and 7 in
the evening?
Yes, because what I'd do is I'd go for my normal classes. And then these classes run from like 5 to 7. So like I already got exposed way before in primary and just leading into high school into like how to use advanced Excel and advanced PowerPoint and all that stuff. So there were some hacks I was doing in the background. People were like, how do you know that? So shutting down a computer and things like that. And the professor's like, hey.
Yeah.
So
did you use command line to do that?
Yes.
Ah, nice.
Yes, I was
nice.
using command line to do
That sounds like pretty neat.
yeah.
Now, Jessica, you said you went to Consolata in primary and high school, right?
I went to Consolata kindergarten and primary till standard 1 and 2, and then Musungari standard 3, and then Loreto Valley Road from standard 4 to form 4.
Now, this now where it's fascinating because where I went to school, you finish from primary school and then you need to be called somewhere else. So I wanted to ask, how does it work? Do you after you graduate from primary school, you just choose to go to the same school for high school, or do they admit you? Or how does that work?
So when I finished KCPE, so I did
Oh,
the
it was
locals.
KCP, okay.
Yes. So when I finished KCPE, we were thinking of actually shifting to the IGCSE curriculum. So my sister and I were exploring Premier Academy. We both got admission, but then I'm not sure. We decided to continue with KCSE because we really loved the Loreto Convent Valley Road culture. And when I say this to date, when I really enjoyed my high school days, a lot of my friends look at me and be like, what?
The one you started with?
Loreto Valley Road, yeah?
The alumni.
No, my high school days.
Oh, okay.
A lot of my friends look at me and be like, are you sure? Are you normal?
Because another question I wanted to ask you, why you monolized? Because this is common in most of the high schools.
Yeah, so I was actually a day scholar. Loreto Valley Road is not a boarding school, but Loreto Musungari has become a boarding school. What I really loved about Loreto Convent Valley Road was it provided a space where I could actually explore my other talents. So I was in the hockey team, I was in the football team, and we were playing against different regional schools, right? But at the same time, I think the teachers that were there really pushed me to they actually pushed me out of my comfort zone. The fact that my sister was there as well, they were like, hey, your sis is one of the top 3, so we're expecting same of you. So there was really pressure. And
So you didn't perform really well, but there was that pressure.
Okay, in primary school, I couldn't care about academics.
It's just okay.
I was just I liked my hockey, I liked my football, and that's all I would do.
Yes.
But come around standard 8, something was peaking. And
you
then
got serious.
Yeah. And then I really liked getting into Form 1, and even the school itself was really accommodating. The teachers were very warm, and also the fact that my sis was one of the top academic performers. There was also pressure, but my grades, I think the first term of Form 1, I was top 3.
Oh, nice.
And when my parents saw that, they were like, yo, what happened?
Why are you surprising
They
us?
were A's everywhere. And they're like, what is going on? This is Jessica.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting.
Yeah.
So the performance, I kept that performance throughout. I really enjoyed the sciences, math. We had amazing teachers. But you see, Michael, apart from doing the normal classwork, there was Science Congress, and I really love Science Congress.
You're very active on Science Congress. Okay.
Yes.
I was too, by the way. I'll tell my story some other time, but yeah.
So every year I participated in Science Congress. So I think in Form 1 I had a chemistry project, in Form 2 another chemistry project, and Form 3 was the game changer. It was a physics project, and we didn't have any smart devices at that point in time. But I remember we were creating a smart electrical device to actually have smart routes for people around Nairobi who are taking matatus. So I was in Form 3 and thinking about those applications then.
And this is something that actually has been tried thrice.
Yes.
and it fails.
Yeah, but remember, we were actually creating what we call like a board whereby you can, like, if you're abroad, you can just look at the London train stations, and then you can actually deduce like how much it cost to take a train from point A to point B, and then the cost. So it is similar concept was educate the local wananchi. If they're taking a matatu from Lavington to Westlands, you just look at the routes, and then you can actually have a card, or you can put coins, and then you get your
like
ticket.
Like the old payphones.
Exactly. So remember, this is 1999, and we're thinking.
Also there were payphones by then, because payphones were phased out in 2000.
Yeah, so think of it, you know how you get a bottle of water and all from these
dispensing machines.
It was a similar concept.
Nice.
So I was coming up with concepts like that at that point.
Wow, that's amazing. Because, and this is something actually maybe with time we'll address, and I hope we can do something about it, because I've seen so many good Science Congress legit projects. I've done one, by the way, and it was around medical diagnosing system, using a normal board, and can feed in symptoms and get some results, and that actually can facilitate in terms of how people are diagnosed, and among as many other projects that are out there. But they just die at that stage.
And this is the pet peeve I have, because I think talent starts getting you start honing your talent at it's in discovery stage when you're in your early teens. But then when you're given opportunities to actually display your talent, it really comes out. And I think Science Congress is one of those places whereby the talent, the projects that come out need to be taken to the next level.
For sure.
So we have all these coding schools and accelerators coming across the region. I think they really need to tap into these niche areas where, like the Science Congress, hey, you came up with an amazing project. What was that? This is where you can get
shape it.
And this is where you can get hidden talent, right? Like I know, like there's ALX and there's ALU by Fred Swaniker, and the ALX taps into really young talent of like 16 to 18. If I were that team, I would be tapping into the Science Congress projects and taking them, accelerating them, and then eventually putting them into the next level of the universities. So these are examples that I think we are actually not seeing, that we need to go deeper into the ecosystem and tap where this actual young talent is coming from.
Absolutely.
Because I've been through the system, and there's a reason why I chose to study locally and remain on the continent, is to understand the context.
And you've built ecosystems actually that actually have propelled us to the next level. Because and we'll delve in that as we progress, but there's something you mentioned that is really powerful, especially for you as a female, right? I heard you say that you and your sister used to make a decision around like, should we join the same high school? Should we still remain here? What were your parents and the decision making in that process? Because that's quite powerful.
So my sister and I were a very dynamic duo when we were younger, and my sister was like my guardian, my protector. I was always inspired by her, and she was always there for me. Like when I didn't perform well in a CAT, I would come to her and I said, hey, I didn't do well in this. What can I do? I remember math was my favorite subject in Form 2, and I was really distraught. I think I really got a really low mark, which I had never anticipated before. And she was like, don't worry, just take it as it is. And that's seen as like a bit of failure. And being a Leo, you kind of like, failure is not in my vocabulary. So she taught me to be to have that humility, and also sometimes a level of self-confidence is good and bad. So you need to have that humility to go back and say, okay, I know I'm clever, but you have to put in the hard work.
I flopped.
Yes, exactly. So my parents knew my sister and I were like really close. So when we actually said we want to be in the same schools, they were like, okay, that's fine. Just let's make it work.
At what age is this that you're saying, let's be in the same school?
We were like from the age of like probably 8, 9, 10,
At
11.
this age, you're like, let's go to this school and that's it.
Yeah.
And then your parents just support the decision.
Yeah.
So they never advise you, or they just empowered you to make that decision.
They empowered us to make that decision.
So what if, and I know this happens to many, children. What if you messed up? Was there punishment? Was there, how did that
when
process
you say
go?
messed up,
Yeah.
what do you mean
Like
by
for
messed
instance, when I was growing up,
up? Yeah.
I could go and play more than I'm supposed to.
Okay.
And not do house chores or not do, what I'm required as a child to be more responsible. So I could get some form of punishment.
Okay. So we didn't have any physical form of punishment.
You are never...
No. No. So I think it was more by communication. We actually had a very open line of communication, and my sister would keep me accountable. So I was that student who would like to watch cartoons, like when I was younger in primary. Like, okay, mom and dad are telling you when you get home by 5:30, you need to switch off the TV and work on your homework.
Do some revision.
Exactly. So I think I would go past that, but like my sister comes in and she keeps me accountable, and she's like, hey, you need to do homework. So we actually had like the same desk, but eventually got different desks. But I think seeing her and how diligent she was in actually like studying and all was like a role model for me.
Yeah.
So I actually picked that up and became a little more responsible and accountable for my actions. So when it was homework time, I'd finish my homework. When it was revision time, I'd actually do the revision. So I think like having to the young people out there, I think it's really important to identify somebody that you actually look up to and can
guide you and inspire you.
So for in this case, it was my family. Right? Wow. It was my mom, it was my dad, it was my sister, it was my grandparents, because we grew up with my grandparents.
Yeah.
Like my grandparents would wake up at 5:30 in the morning. They used to live with us.
Day.
Yes. They would make a chapati for us. My grandma would make a chapati for us and porridge. So you're well nourished, and then you're studying. From 5:30 you had your breakfast, and then 5:30 to 6:30.
You do
7 you're studying, and then 7 you're leaving for
school.
For school. And this continued till university. Unfortunately, my biological clock has changed as I've got older and been in the work environment. But when I was young, I used to wake up at around like 4, study. Even at university, do my assignments, because that's the time like I would have all the information assimilated.
And you're fresh.
Yes. And then, but you're studying, and then you look forward to your uji and the chapati and the hot tea that your grandparents have. And then also your mom has made like some pancakes, and you're like, woo, it's crazy.
It's a whole meal.
Yeah, it's a whole meal.
Oh, awesome. So did you also make this? Okay, where is this? You've mentioned your sister a bit. Is she around?
Yes, my sister and I live together.
Nice. Did you also go to the same university?
No.
Okay.
That's an interesting path. My sister went into finance. She was a top student for ACCA at Strathmore in her year, and then she did a master's at Oxford Brookes.
Awesome.
In finance.
So Jessica, here you are doing your KCSE.
Yes.
Did you anticipate to go to the university? or you just wanted to perform really well, and that's it?
With my dad being the conventional dad,
What do you mean by that?
well, my dad was very conventional. Like he came from a background of like finance, and he believed like in a job like a doctor or a lawyer or an IT specialist or things that he could understand, accountant, lawyer,
engineer.
So he was like, I immediately graduate. You should enroll for like the course, any computer courses at University of Nairobi, or even globally. And I looked at him and I was like, maybe, let's see. And he was like, what do you mean, maybe, let's see? And my mom was like, let her take her time. So I took a gap year after uni.
After uni or after high school?
Actually, after high school. Thank you for that correction.
How long did you take? Because
1 year.
Oh, we used to take 2 years. How come you?
I took 1 year. And this was the year I really explored. I think Dad was a bit disappointed because had I gone into a course, I would probably be the youngest to have graduated. At that point in time, it's about being the youngest, doing the thing. So accomplishments for my dad was a big thing. My mom was just like, take time to discover what you really want.
And also to rest your mind, because I can imagine you're waking every day at 4. Doing all this work.
Yes.
And to be competitive, you work really hard. So
yeah, I mean, KCSE is not the easiest, but it teaches you a thing or two. And the thing I appreciate about KCSE is the literature side of things. Like reading books like Things Fall Apart, the math, the log books, the chemistry, the physics. I never crammed that stuff. I understood those concepts. Yes. Yeah. So I really enjoyed that part of my life because I didn't cram. I understood.
This is very, very interesting because most of us cram, right?
Yeah.
So what's the difference? What would you say would be the difference?
You have to enjoy what you do, Michael.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed chemistry. I thought I'd be doing something in chemical engineering. So I kept my books. And I think also the teachers inspire you to do what you do. And, just kind of seeing how the concepts of physics and chemistry and math are applicable in the real world, I think is really important.
Yeah. But most of us, to be honest, even nowadays, you see it on Twitter. You see guys saying like, I studied so much in most of the subjects, but I don't see how I can apply that. Would you say it's because of that disconnect where maybe guys were like reading to pass or studying to pass, and whereas they could have just studied to understand why they're studying?
I think it's important to understand, to study why. The other thing is what and how. So putting it in a framework, when you're given a framework, sorry to digress and make this so ambiguous, I think we as human beings, we like to take unstructured and create structure, and we think in form of frameworks. So we normally ask questions, and I think a lot of us need to be asking these questions instead of just diving deep into the problem. Is why am I doing this? What are the assumptions? How do I get into that? What am I trying to solve? The questions are important to deduce and kind of come up with an inference of what the potential solution could be.
Yes.
This is a bit of the computer science side.
Yeah. I see you now getting into the zeros and ones really quick. So you join university and you find claim of the education system. So
there's a bit of a story before university.
Go ahead, please.
I think that's where the nuggets are. The part where, so I took a gap year out, and the gap year is kind of like 3 months after high school. I spent a lot of time talking to friends that my mom introduced me to. So my mom had a really good network of different people because she was an entrepreneur. And I would talk to them and say like, I'm not sure what I want to study. No, I want to do aeronautical engineering, but at the same time, I'm interested in how things work in terms of software. And they were like, maybe attend the iTech events and, things to do with networking and security at that point in time.
Yeah.
So I did attend some of these events. I attended, there was this big conference that was held at Sarit Center. It's called the IEEE exhibition. I don't know if you remember. It's by Dr. Kevin Desai.
Yeah.
And this is like where you find amazing, again, another hidden gem of, it's no longer there, but another hidden gem of amazing university projects.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, these are really bright people, like from University of Nairobi, KU, Kenyatta University, JKUAT, Jomo Kenyatta University coming up, Strath, coming up with amazing like science, software projects. Yeah. And I went to those events and I met Dr. Kevin Desai at that point. And then, we didn't have these online courses like Coursera and Udemy at that point in time. Because the way we learned at university was downloading tutorials on PDF and then reading.
And going to the library.
Exactly.
Where there is only one book and there are 100 students.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you find the soft copy.
And then there are these cyber. By the way, I joined University of Nairobi after you just left. So there was this like cyber cafes where they could reprint these books and sell them at an affordable.
There was a copyright issue, but
So which actually also again gives me another aspect about
one book against 100 students. You
doesn't
can't.
make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even when you go to textbook center and all these other places,
it's really expensive.
Sometimes it was not there.
Yeah, and also it's expensive and it's also not there. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I remember hunting for books sometimes with my dad and be like, from this bookshop, the other, we can't find it. So I was just like, hey guys, let's hack this. Let's find the online version. And we had amazing people in our class who could find books for you where you couldn't.
Yeah.
But so this gap. So I learned web programming. I learned HTML.
You downloaded these PDFs and
no, I actually went to there was a London school. I can't remember the name right now, but it was offering a course on like web development.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I had actually learned like HTML and CSS and writing a bit of like logic of programming. Static and
static websites.
Yeah, static websites and interactive websites. So I could write HTML like even before university.
Because also then there were no frameworks, there were no templates.
I would never use Dreamweaver or anything. I mean, I learned about Dreamweaver in university. I was writing hardcore HTML on Notepad.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, so I remembered all.
How do you know it's working?
I mean, how do I know it's working? I'll just like test.
So on the browser?
On the browser.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so I created a couple of sites and then I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. The game changer was not in those first 3 months. This is 2001. It was not. I met somebody and they were like, if you want to like advance your knowledge in the sciences and math and computers, you should probably be doing IB. You'll also get a chance to study out there like globally. And I was like, okay, let's see what the IB is all about. So I joined IB 3 months after the program.
What is IB?
International Baccalaureate. So it's like a similar version of A-levels, prepares you for university. And I was like, this sounds interesting, let me go. So the interesting part was the term had already begun. I was joining in second term. And the Mr. Williams, he was asking me, "Are you sure you're ready for this? Because this is really intense.
Yeah.
And you're joining 3 months after the program has started." And I said my confident self, I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And God, baptism by fire. I joined the second term. I was
And
trying
the term was like 3 months?
yeah.
Okay.
So I was catching in my second term, I was catching up with the first term. So I was like, it was really tough.
Yeah.
I'd taken 7 subjects and everyone was like, "You're taking 7 subjects and you're catching up." They're like, "That's insane." So eventually towards the end of the midterm, I was like, I have to drop one, and I dropped computers. Because,
What are these 7 subjects?
so I did higher level math. I did higher level physics and higher level chemistry. And then I did English. I did French. And then economics.
Wow,
And then
that's intense.
yes, and then the other one I was actually going to do higher level computer science, but the computer studies, and then I just dropped it because it was too intense
Yeah.
to do all that. So I took those subjects,
Yeah.
and I think IB was a amazing experience.
Yes.
Because I'm coming from an all-girls school to like a mixed school, so it's a bit of a culture shock as well. But you're being kind of like
This is the first time you're interacting with boys, or?
well, all boys and girls in one class,
Yeah.
right? So you're seeing the difference in how people think. I mean, there are people who in a class who are so clever. The IQ levels are off the charts, and you're like, oh my God, I'm in a class with somebody who's good, like who's on like top, like the top 50 in the country.
Yes.
Right? And he's just mentioning stuff. You're like, I need to go into the book and wonder.
Need to research this.
Yeah, it's crazy. So you are among like some really brilliant people, and who to date are my friends. 10 plus to 15 plus years down the line.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Because this is the time we were still like teenagers, and I think I really went more deeper into music when I was in IB. I enrolled for ABRSM, did ABRSM till grade 4. Participated, in the St. Mary's. St. Mary's would have amazing concerts.
You guys, did you go for music festival?
No, we didn't go for music festivals, but St. Mary's would always have these annual concerts.
Oh, okay.
And they were like the Braben concerts that you have to go for.
So it's more like live performance.
Exactly.
Playing instruments.
And you know what is interesting?
Yeah.
Lupita Nyong'o was a year ahead of me. And she was she was in Cinderella. And Lupita was just, when you're looking at, she's just this outlier. You just look at her and be like, that lady is going to be something. So
and here she is.
Yes, I mean, like in our class, we have some game-changing names. John Allen Nyamu was in our class, and we had Kamze Mwatela in my class, who's like this famous
And this
actor.
is for IB or for?
This is for IB. And then we have like Mudhoni drama queen, who is in my class now, who's a famous like artist. So our class
Has some
and then I mean, like I think I learned so much from the diversity of the people that I was surrounded by. It gave me a bit of a culture shock.
Yeah.
So it took me time to adapt after graduating from IB. Like, okay, this is what uni is going to be like. Are you ready for this? So I am between that point in time, I took a bit of a 6 month. That's why I said a gap year. So it was the 3 year, and then after IB was the 6 month gap. And then this is when I was applying for universities. I applied abroad. I did get opportunities abroad, and then I went back into the discovery aspect, and I was like, I met Dr. Kate Gitao at a career fair, and I didn't know
This is the first time you met Kate?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe we need to host Kate at some point.
You have to. You have to. She's an amazing mind. She reminds me of her stories, like the beautiful mind. Like
she was top in her class at the uni.
Her story, a beautiful mind. She just got an amazing mind, and I asked her a couple of questions, and she was like, you should study computer science because of the way you actually ask behavioral and cognitive questions, in the sense you're curious about things, you want to know how things work. That's less of engineering, but more of like building like solutions and problem solving. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And she's like, you should apply to University of Nairobi. She didn't tell me she was the she was the director and dean at that point in time. So I went to University of Nairobi, got the forms, applied. I had gone for a summer break in 2003 to Canada for 6 weeks to explore opportunities there, because I had applied to universities there. And then I got news that I had got accepted to University of Nairobi.
Yeah.
So explored Canada for six weeks. I went everywhere.
Did you do skiing?
Not skiing. I went during summer.
Okay.
Deep sea fishing and amazing. That was. I might be divulging my age a bit, but I celebrated my 21st birthday in Canada at Niagara Falls.
Nice.
I was always this outlier. I didn't want to do the typical celebration. So my mom told me, hey, you're actually admitted at University of Nairobi. And I was like, okay, got some advice from a couple of people in my network, and they were like, hey, you've been admitted to a top-notch class. Only 40 people. These are the top grade candidates in this country. You definitely want to be around those minds. So I came back, enrolled for University of Nairobi, and again, I was always doing challenging status quo in the university. For my second year project.
Wait a minute, Jessica. How many girls were in that class?
5 out of 40.
And amongst those 5 girls, and this is a tough question that I'm going to ask you. Computer science is considered, and most of the engineering courses are considered to be men-dominated.
Yes.
And I know you're doing a lot of work to actually at least balance that and show that you can do it. Doesn't matter your gender. It matters with what you want to solve and your drive and curiosity and how much you're willing to put through, right? So at that point, did you feel like, we're just 5 of us and it's...
Not really.
Yeah.
Because, the interesting part was the 5 of us would be spread in the class, like would be sitting
all over. Yeah.
We'd not be like in a cluster altogether.
Yeah.
So really, I think the gentleman made us feel part of the ecosystem, and they worked with us as team members. But obviously there was that dynamic of like male, female, who's going to be like Dean's top list, first class. And you could immediately tell, like in the first year, this is going to be like a first class person graduating at the end of the course with a first class. I was like, you guys are too smart for me. I'm not going to be first class. I was.
You already made up your mind.
I was like, hey, it's too competitive. So I was just more interested in doing.
What made you give up?
To do a first class?
Yeah.
So at the end of it, Michael, I wasn't like, it's not about proving like you can actually get an A or first class. It's really what you're working on. So it was the experiences of actually like working with different teams. And then, the lecturers, the School of Computing was really interesting because they
still is.
And is still
it's one of the interesting schools to be in this country. Yeah.
Yes, and we're lucky because we are kind of like, I think they've increased the batch nowadays to like more than 40.
They increased, but it just reduced.
Yeah, because you get like one-on-ones with the lecturers when you're a small class, rather than like other departments and universities that they're 100.
Like medicine is like 400.
Exactly.
One lecturer.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I loved about the School of Computing, is that you could actually get one-on-one with the lecturers and things like that. So in my second year, there was a professor called Nathan Eagle who was invited by Professor Waiganjo now to actually teach as an adjunct professor. And when I was kind of in my second year, we actually had like a mobile boot camp with him teaching us how to like program on smartphone devices. That was the Nokia.
Java SE?
No, it was actually the Nokia 70, and then we were using Python.
Okay,
So
interesting.
Dr. Nathan Eagle's project with Professor Sandy Pantland in MIT was reality mining. And reality mining was actually the use of base station data, and you'd track where exactly your location was by triangulation, and actually say Michael is in Lavington, in between Applecross Road and Muhoya Avenue,
Yeah.
So he was using that kind of technology, like
Geofencing stuff?
yes, way back then. So all these technologies that we are
And by the way, that technology has advanced really, really good.
So I keep on saying this. All these technologies that we're using now, hey, I've created a website. You can purchase stuff.
Yeah.
I'll be like, so what? Seen it, done it. What's new?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I kind of want people to challenge themselves mentally. To innovate. Yeah.
Amazing. By the way, just to give people who are listening the perspective, what you're talking about, geofencing, is what actually enables deliveries, things like to do with Uber booking,
Got it.
things to do with...
and remember, this is like 15 plus years ago.
Yeah.
Did this.
Yeah. And it has come a long way, though. So here you are, you just decide, okay, I just want to learn. I don't want to compete. I don't want to be the first. If I get first class, fine. But
well and good, yeah.
I really want to learn. I want to build stuff.
That's the mentality.
And it looks like it has been a journey. Not something you just woke up and say,
okay, I am really
this.
competitive.
Yeah.
In some, okay, I have to admit, in some subjects, I was competitive.
Yeah.
In Dr. Kate Gitawa's
automata?
Automata theory. That one I had to get an A. So I was competitive in some units, but the rest I was like.
Was it because it was taught by a woman and you could understand?
No, it was because it's Dr. Kate Gitawa. I can't let her down.
She was good, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I also, unfortunately, I didn't meet her. I met someone else, Dr. Nganga. I think now maybe she's a professor. I'm
Dr.
not sure.
Nganga is also good, but Dr. Kate Gitawa is like the Einstein of computer science.
Yeah. Now she's I think counsel at ANU.
Yes.
That's amazing. And if you think about ANU, and it has also produced a couple of bright mind and people who are solving problems in the ecosystem. So I'm sure when she's there, even things will be much better. But I need to host her at some point. So
you have to.
Yeah. So now you graduate.
Yeah. So
okay, before even you graduate, let me ask something else. Do you get a boyfriend? It's university, of course. God. You are beautiful, Jessica. Of course, there is no serious man who would contest that.
Honestly, Michael.
Yeah.
For me, those 4 years, it was all about projects, learning new stuff.
Were you staying in
music.
The campus or
no?
off
I was
campus?
staying off campus. I was a day student, so I would be at home. So every time my dad would drop me at 7 and pick me up sharp at 5:30.
No wonder. You didn't give people maybe an opportunity to...
Well, I apparently I did hear a couple of people were interested, but
Well, if you're
I'm not interested.
If you're dropped by your dad and picked up by your dad, or I don't know, it doesn't leave so much room to present the memoranda. Was that interesting for you, or it was an opportunity missed?
No, it wasn't an opportunity missed because I think I had geared my mind for. I was the kind of mind that was just wanted to learn.
Focus.
So I was so interested. Like I would download tutorials, and then the moment I get home, you have your tea, and then you're back on your computer learning stuff.
And it's interesting maybe to ask you this. University life is where you even get into relationship, and I hear nowadays people are getting into so bad relationship, what they're calling character development.
Yeah.
There's sponsory kind of relationships.
Yes.
What would you tell a girl child who really want to make it in the university and make something out of themselves? Should they?
Right. Not only the girl child, but even the boy child. I think, having this sponsor paradigm going on means that you actually rely on that person then and in the long term for your welfare and also kind of like you getting out of the situation that you are in.
Yeah.
I think you have to find it in you to actually be independent. Who makes you? Who makes Michael? Who makes Jessica? And university is that time. High school and university are these periods whereby you define who you are when you get into the professional working world and even as an individual.
Yeah.
So if you want to be a person out there who wants to be independent and have people around you that want to respect you, then you have to be willing to make those hard choices to actually make it on your own. And I tell you, it is tough. It is tough. There is a lot of competition out there.
Yeah.
But only you yourself can make yourself stand out.
For sure.
Yeah.
So are you saying people should maybe engage themselves in internship, join communities, build stuff?
The thing is, Michael, way back then, it was so hard to reach somebody like Dr. Kate Kitao.
Yeah.
But now,
it's easy.
With the way information is so ubiquitous, you can actually DM somebody on LinkedIn, you can DM somebody on Twitter, or you can meet somebody in a networking event who actually knows somebody you want to reach out to.
Yeah.
If you are hungry enough, and really have this passion to go and purpose to actually go out there and make that difference, you will make that effort, because networking is free. Asking is free. Sending a message to a person is free. If they turn you down, well and good. There are many other avenues.
Yeah.
We have been given the opportunity to reach out to the different communities that we want to reach out to.
Yeah.
So if you want to take the easy way out and do the mass sponsors, well and good. No judgment to you.
Yeah.
But just remember there are other paths out. Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's solid. Solid actually guide, not even advice, a solid guide that someone can use to find opportunities. So you graduate and how was that experience for you? What was next year? You are graduating, joining on university, the best university in the country in East and Central Africa, and to some extent now Africa, and now you're graduating. What was going through your mind?
Well, at that point in time, I think there were a couple of us doing really one-off projects on mobile. I think there were about 5 of us, and we had demoed to the WFP. So UN was after us in terms of poaching us as a team to actually do a project with them. And here we are, young. We don't even know how to write a proposal. We don't even have a registered business.
Yeah.
And we actually thought we'd actually be...
were you 4 years or just graduated?
4 years who are graduated.
Yeah.
Right? And this was July where we finished. And then, you normally graduate...
You're waiting for the graduation in September. Yeah.
So there is a team of us that actually met after graduation. We were meeting at the University of Nairobi and saying, okay, these are the requirements that the WFP wants. We actually got a company to endorse us through my mom's friends, and we made it till the final stages. But the company didn't inform us that we actually had to have some prerequisites, so we lost the deal to Burnsoft. So I think that was our first failed venture. We were actually probably a startup organization.
Yeah.
And the way we were thinking was not like the way I would think right now. We were thinking of the solution, building the solution.
Yeah.
All of
and
us,
that's even right now, to be honest, Jessica,
yeah.
any software engineer or any engineer, they don't think about registering a business or writing a proposal. They just think about writing either code or building something.
We actually registered the business. It took us 2 weeks, come back with a name search, and you're like, oh, they don't accept this Nandi Flame, blah, blah. It's already in the system. Then we're like, okay, go back. It takes another 2 weeks, a month. So we're like, this is going to take too long.
Yeah.
Right? Now it's so easy. You can just even do a name search in a couple of minutes.
E-Citizen and you do everything. Yeah.
But the team had appointed me to be the CEO, and I'm like, why are you pointing me? I have no idea. Okay, I guess it was because I was articulate at that point in time. I had developed quite a bit of confidence, like after my project.
Yeah.
And the team were like, hey, your representatives as a CEO would like you to take this forward. I was like, okay. So I think that I would describe as the first venture, like a startup that actually failed because one, we didn't actually identify like if we had the right skill sets on the team. Two is that we were not even thinking like business people. We were thinking more like computer scientists, just to actually like go in there and develop the project. And it had its ups and downs, and then like 3 to 6 months later it kind of died because everyone like had got jobs. Some were management consultants, others were like hired by Safaricom, PwC, Deloitte, developers for some global companies, and I was immersed into Strathmore University as a management consultant. Really, really amazing time at Strathmore. Because I used my knowledge and I kind of like taught mobile developers how to code on like iPhone, Swift, Series, Objective-C at that point in time, BlackBerry, and these were engaging like people in the ecosystem like Conrad Akunga, Liko Agosta, Dr. Sevilla, and others in the ecosystem who have contributed to this ecosystem, Riaz, Bachani and all, who really built this ecosystem prior to the iHerb. And they actually helped, grow that community of mobile developers. So at Strathmore, working with FIT and Dr. Sevilla trained like 500 developers. And then we actually had like competitions like Mobile Bootcamp, and we had projects coming out of this. And that's like what gave rise to like, a bit of the startup. And prior to this, I had met like the Ushaidi team. I was still shy, but I had been recommended to speak to Eric Hersman about joining the mobile development team at Ushaidi. I think the first time I was really shy. I didn't meet him. Then second time, a friend of mine called Wilfred Moria and can I remember Steve? Yeah, Steve. I think you remember Steve. Steve Mutinda. For mobile. He's like, let's go. And we met at, I remember, Prestige Food Court. And he's like, there's Eric, need to meet him. So Eric spoke to me and he's like, you're really shy. I was like, And
still then, introvert, even at that point.
And then Eric met me a second time and we started talking about like setting up a space for people to come together and share ideas. So the conversation started while we were at Strath, and a couple of other advisors like Riaz and Josiah and Becky really like recommended me to kind of like join forces with Eric and start the iHerb. So after
Josiah was also in Strathmore?
Josiah was not in Strathmore. Josiah was an alumni of Jomo Kenyatta University. And but he was like one of the early contributors to the Skunkworks community. And like when Skunkworks used to have these events after I graduated in 2007, 8, 9, we would have events at Pan Africa Hotel and I think Jacaranda, and we'd have like over 200-300 people coming.
Wow.
And we're like, it was called a bar conference, and we're like, where are these people coming from?
Is it the one that translated
Bar camp.
To bar camp? Okay.
Bar camp. And we were like, where are all these people coming from? There's so many. We need to have a more dedicated space so like people can meet and share on a frequent basis. And that's where like...
And also build stuff.
That's where the idea of iHerb started bubbling.
Amazing stuff. And there's Faris Karaoke.
Faris was a game changer as well for the Skunkworks community. He's given a lot to the community.
Still he is doing that on the cloud stuff. Yes. And also I might host him at some point.
Yes.
And Jessica, this is quite fascinating because I think when you started iHerb, that's when now I heard your name. I visited iHerb, and I now plugged into that building ecosystem. So at this point, I think when we come back, we'll venture more into how iHerb started, the journey, what it has achieved, because it's also still growing as you
Yes.
speak. How much that has come metamorphosized to who you are
The
yourself.
metamorphosis.
Yes, when you need the word. So, and among as many other things that you've done, even post Aya, because Aya right now is over 12 years
Yes.
per se, because it's quite interesting to see that, and the sport that girl child should play into building the ecosystem itself, because they say if half of the team is playing, you should expect half of the results.
Correct.
Thank you so much.